In the volatile world of Port Charles, where alliances are always shifting and secrets are currency, a new and formidable threat has begun to stir beneath the surface, one that forces old loyalties to be tested and unlikely partnerships to emerge. At the center of this turbulent storm stand Anna Devane and Jason Morgan, two figures long accustomed to danger, yet both scarred in different ways by betrayals and bloodshed. As whispers of a shadowy force grow louder, one with ties to international espionage and domestic corruption, Anna and Jason find themselves reluctantly drawn together, united not by trust, but by necessity. Neither of them could have foreseen that this uneasy alliance would ultimately lead them straight into a confrontation with the person they least expected, Sonny Corinthos. Anna had long been aware that Port Charles was more than just a quaint town filled with hospital dramas and romantic entanglements. Beneath its charming exterior pulsed a darker current, one that had only grown more dangerous with the recent influx of foreign operatives and the resurgence of dormant crime syndicates. Her instincts told her something was amiss. Intelligence files were being wiped, accounts manipulated, and evidence planted in ways that suggested not chaos, but precision. The enemy they were facing wasn't disorganized. It was a machine, calculated, patient, and terrifyingly efficient. Jason, meanwhile, had been dealing with internal battles of his own. His return to Port Charles had not been smooth. The old ties he once counted on had weakened or frayed altogether. Carly had drifted into a world of ambition and self-preservation, making decisions without him. Sonny had become more of a businessman than a protector, a change that Jason couldn't fully comprehend or accept. But when Anna approached him with intel that linked the resurgence of a black market weapons trade to activities in their own backyard, Jason couldn't turn away. Not when the lives of those he once swore to protect were in jeopardy. Their partnership began with surveillance, late nights spent watching dockyards, analyzing transactions, decoding intercepted messages. At first, their interactions were stilted, professional to the point of coldness. Anna didn't trust Jason's methods, and Jason viewed Anna as someone who relied too much on procedure. But as the pattern of attacks and disappearances escalated, so too did their need for each other. Anna brought strategy, Jason brought instinct. And together, they began to uncover the outlines of something larger, an underground alliance moving money, weapons, and influence through Port Charles as if it were a ghost town on the edge of collapse. It was during one of these investigations that the name surfaced, not a new player, but a familiar one. Sonny Corinthos. Not directly involved, but present enough on the periphery to raise suspicions. Money from his casinos had been laundered through shell accounts now flagged by the WSB. A warehouse previously leased under one of his old aliases was connected to a weapons drop in Eastern Europe. The evidence wasn't concrete, but it was damning enough to warrant a direct confrontation. Anna, never one to back down from uncomfortable truths, suggested they bring Sonny in, not as a suspect, but as a potential ally or, at the very least, an informant. Jason resisted at first. His loyalty to Sonny was personal, deep-rooted, and not easily shaken. But even Jason couldn't deny that too many of Sonny's footprints were showing up in places they shouldn't be. The meeting was arranged under the guise of a casual reunion. Carly, ever the diplomat, insisted it happen on neutral ground, a quiet, upscale bar away from prying eyes. The three of them, Jason, Carly, and Anna, waited for Sonny with different expectations. Carly believed she could mediate. Anna hoped for a confession. Jason just wanted answers. When Sonny finally arrived, there was a heaviness in the air. No one raised their voice, but every word was loaded. Anna laid out the pattern of financial irregularities, the WSB red flags, the overlapping timelines. Sonny listened, his expression unreadable. He didn't deny the transactions. He didn't feign ignorance. But what he did offer instead was something no one expected, his own theory. According to Sonny, someone had been using his old network, reviving dormant aliases, and laundering through businesses he had long since divested from. He didn't know who, but he had his suspicions, remnants of the Novak family, or perhaps an insider from within his own organization seeking to carve out a new empire in his name. Either way, Sonny agreed with Anna. Something bigger was coming, and it was time to stop pretending Port Charles was immune. As the night wore on and drinks were poured, the tone shifted from suspicion to strategy. Old resentments surfaced but were quickly drowned in shared urgency. Carly, always the pragmatist, offered to help identify which of her and Sonny's old contacts might be compromised. Jason laid out a plan to resecure the warehouses and track their new tenants. Anna would petition the WSB for limited jurisdiction to begin covert operations within the city limits. What began as a confrontation had become a war council. And by the end of the night, something more profound had settled among them, not forgiveness, perhaps, but a sense of unity, born not of affection but of necessity. The stakes had become too high, and the enemy too cunning, for any of them to go it alone. Back outside the bar, as Jason lit a cigarette and watched the shadows gather in the distance, he realized that Port Charles was on the brink of something catastrophic. But for the first time in a long while, he didn't feel like he was carrying the burden alone. Anna stood beside him, her eyes sharp and unyielding. Carly, for all her ambition and flaws, was willing to act. And Sonny, once untouchable, once unshakable, had finally chosen a side. Whether that would be enough to stop what was coming, none of them could say. But the battle lines had been drawn. And this time, Port Charles wouldn't go down without a fight.